Welcome to MMA Submission Source, where the fight never ends.
Don't waste any time. Like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel to stay updated on all the latest news. Today, we're here to bring you two fresh news roundup from the world of fighting.
Dana White says Henry Cejudo has already retired once, so there was no interview with Joe Rogan after the UFC 298 defeat. Cejudo took off his gloves after losing by unanimous decision to Merab Dvalishvili on Saturday at the Honda Center, something he said he would do if he lost. However, Cejudo never had the chance to talk about his future in the immediate aftermath of the fight because he did not receive an in-octagon interview. White had no intention of handing the microphone to Cejudo if he lost. He had been critical of Cejudo's retirement in May 2020 and didn't want him to steal the spotlight from Dvalishvili. In White's words, Henry Cejudo has already retired, okay? He did the whole glove thing, White told MMA Junkie and other reporters after the UFC 298 fight. Tonight was Merab's night. He continued, Merab went in there, fought the third guy in the world, former world champion, and easily won the fight. Tonight was Merab's night. If he wants to retire again, he can do it here at the press conference or somewhere else. It's not for Cejudo to have the microphone tonight. White believes the long layoff hurt Cejudo. When Cejudo retired in May 2020, he was on a 6-fight winning streak, including title victories over Demetrius Johnson, Dillashaw, and Dominic Cruz. But since coming out of retirement last May, Cejudo has lost 2 consecutive fights to Aljamain Sterling and Dvalishvili. White further stated, in my opinion, you can't stay away from combat sports for 3 years, White said. It's never worked for anyone, and Cejudo looked great in the first round. I thought he started to tire in the second round. Merab just got stronger as the fight went on. In my opinion, in this news roundup, I believe Cejudo lost credibility with Dana White when he retired due to financial issues, as he wanted more money. Everyone knows that the UFC president doesn't like to be backed into a corner by managers, let alone fighters. Cejudo had his motivations for asking for a raise after talking to other fighters who made much more money than him in fights. However, he was never a big pay-per-view seller and was not prominent on social media with fan engagement. All of this matters a lot to the UFC. I believe in Dana White's mind, there's something like, what if he retires again and a year later decides to come back? It discredits the act of retiring in the UFC, besides overshadowing Dvalishvili's dominant victory. Comment here on the video with your opinion. What do you think of Dana White's decision not to allow Henry Cejudo to speak after his defeat at UFC 298? Do you agree with Dana White's assessment that the long layoff harmed Cejudo's performance? How do you see the future of Henry Cejudo's career after his losses to Aljamain Sterling and Merab Dvalishvili? Leave your like, and let's move on to the second piece of news.
Teammate of Dustin Poirier cites 3 attributes that set him apart from other fighters and predicts how the fight against Benoît Saint Denis at UFC 299 will go. Scottish fighter Chris Duncan has been working to establish himself in the UFC lightweight division, training alongside one of the greatest names in the category's history. Dustin Poirier can match up to any fighter in the UFC in terms of high-level experience and classic instant fights that will be remembered even after hanging up the gloves. After spending a lot of time with the Diamond in recent training camps, Duncan believes there are a few things that set Poirier apart from the rest of the group. In a recent interview with Violent Money TV, he explained exactly what makes Poirier an elite lightweight fighter. His timing is impeccable, good straight counterattacks, he has a bit of awkwardness in his boxing technique. Those are 3 attributes he possesses: his cardio, his timing, and his boxing, and his offensive fight is very good. He is very complete as a fighter, and I am very, very honored to be able to share the mat with him. Another thing that is a plus for me is spending time with him, and he shows me the techniques, tells me what to do and when to do it. Duncan gives his prediction for Poirier's clash with Saint Denis at UFC 299. Poirier is set to return at UFC 299, where he will seek to reaffirm his status as one of the best in the lightweight category, facing the promising contender Benoît Saint Denis. Duncan has been preparing alongside the former interim UFC lightweight champion before his own return this weekend in Mexico City, where he aims to reach 3-0 in the octagon against Manuel Torres. Sharing the same opinion as many fans and analysts, Duncan believes that Poirier's next fight, taking place as a 5-round co-main event, gives him the advantage as the fight progresses. He told Violent Money TV that he expects a finish in the championship rounds to secure victory in Miami on March 9th. Personally, I have a very good feeling that Dustin will end the fight in the 4th round. A 5-round fight, he will take the opponent to deep waters, and Dustin is such a talented individual and has a third lung, so I'm looking forward to seeing him perform. In your opinion, what are the 3 attributes that Chris Duncan mentions as differentiators for Dustin Poirier as a fighter? Do you agree with Duncan's analysis of the potential outcome of the fight between Poirier and Benoît Saint Denis? How do you evaluate Dustin Poirier's strategy in a 5-round fight, as described by Duncan? Leave your comments on what you think, and let's move on to the next news, and this one is worth your like and subscription to the channel.
Javier Mendez outlines future plans for UFC champion Islam Makhachev. Would love to see that. UFC 300 will feature a crucial lightweight clash between former lightweight champion Charles Oliveira and Arman Tsarukyan. UFC CEO Dana White stated that the fight will determine the next lightweight title challenger for Makhachev. It will be interesting to see who comes out victorious to challenge Makhachev, but what is Makhachev's team thinking about the future? Islam Makhachev's script, according to Javier Mendez. During an interview with Casino Alpha, Mendez expressed his desire to see Islam Makhachev fight in a historic arena, in addition to the opponents that are on his fighter's radar via MMA fighting. And he said, "After Ramadan, I hope the UFC schedules a fight for Islam at Madison Square Garden just because it's good for his visibility to fight in the U.S," Mendez told Casino Alpha. "That's what I would like, but for now, there's no fight on the horizon for him. I'm sure the UFC will announce a return for him soon, but not yet. Justin Gaethje, Charles Oliveira, and then the welterweight title. Those would be my 3 next fights for Islam. I would love to see Islam become the welterweight world champion in 2025. I would love to see that, and I know he would too. If we can get 2 fights this year, who knows, you might see the UFC offering him a title shot sooner." Makhachev has shared his goal of one day winning the UFC lightweight championship. If he can overcome his remaining challengers at 155 pounds, he could put himself in a prime position to do just that. Tell us your opinion. What do you think of Javier Mendez's strategy of scheduling fights for Islam Makhachev in the coming years? Do you agree that a fight at Madison Square Garden would be beneficial for Makhachev's visibility in the U.S.? How do you view Islam Makhachev's chances of becoming the welterweight champion by 2025, as mentioned by Mendez? We want to hear your opinion. Now let's move on to the final news piece. Sean O'Malley opened to facing Merab Dvalishvili very beatable after UFC 299, but still wants scary Ilia Topuria. Sean O'Malley had a glimpse of a future opponent at UFC 298, one way or another. O'Malley will make the first defense of his UFC bantamweight title on March 9th in a rematch against Marlon Chito Vera at UFC 299, and if he comes out victorious, he might end up fighting one of the stars of Saturday's card. Ahead of UFC 298, O'Malley proposed a champion versus champion fight against Ilia Topuria if the Spaniard defeated Alexander Volkanovski, which he did with an impressive second-round knockout to capture the UFC featherweight title.
Also, bantamweight Merab Dvalishvili dominated Henry Cejudo at UFC 298 to extend an impressive 10-fight winning streak in the division, and then challenged O'Malley for a shot at the 135-pound title. O'Malley reacted to both performances on Monday's episode of the MMA Hour. Volk is coming off a nasty knockout not too long ago. Ilia's confidence is through the roof. How dangerous he is. I had a feeling Ilia was going to win, O'Malley said on the MMA Hour. He knocked out the greatest featherweight of all time in round 2. I knocked out Aljamain Sterling, the greatest bantamweight of all time, in round 2. I've been pushing for that fight a little bit. I've been getting a lot of criticism for it, a little bit of pushback, saying I'm ducking Merab. I'm like, Merab just, not exactly, he beat up Henry, but Henry is like 42 or something.
He looked terrible. I would have knocked Henry out 4 times in that fight. And then Ilia goes out there and knocks out Volk, the greatest featherweight of all time, in round 2 in a beautiful performance, and I call him out, and I'm getting heat from MMA fans saying, oh, you're ducking Merab. I'm trying to propose a fight that I feel is exciting, that is like, wow. But I've been getting a lot of resistance on that. I don't know if people really want me to fight Merab as much as they hate the confidence that I have that I would go in there and knock out Ilia. But I decided, I said what I needed to say to those guys. And really, what it comes down to is, I'll go in there and do the performance I say I'm going to do against Cejudo, a beautiful, masterful performance, and I challenge whoever I want on the mic. I think I can get the fight I want. But I have to do what I do. OMalley, 29, and his coach Tim Welch have advocated for a potential super fight between the bantamweight champion and Topuria, but this interest has not been reciprocated so far. Topuria poured cold water on the idea before UFC 298, telling MMA Fighting that OMalley still has the lot to prove at 135 pounds and predicting that Vera will defeat OMalley again at UFC 299 after winning by first-round knockout in 2020. Additionally, UFC CEO Dana White named Dvalishvili as the next #1 bantamweight contender at the UFC 298 post-fight press conference after the Georgian win streak machine equaled the longest winning streak in the history of the UFC bantamweight division. But OMalley is not discouraged. I said what I needed to say to these guys. And really, what it comes down to is, I'll go in there and do the performance I say I'm going to do against Cejudo, a beautiful, masterful performance, and I challenge whoever I want on the mic. I think I can get the fight I want, OMalley said. But I have to do what I do. OMalley and Dvalishvili have exchanged barbs from afar since Dvalishvili stole OMalley's coat last May during a stare-down in the octagon with Sterling. OMalley on Monday admitted he was a little surprised at how easily Dvalishvili dominated Cejudo, though less so after certain rumors reached him about Cejudo's preparation. I was hearing rumors up until fight day that, hey, Henry didn't have a good camp, Henry pulled his groin, Henry didn't have as good of sparring and training as he wanted, so with that being said, you can't go into a fight not being 100% against Merab, OMalley said. Merab is a machine. He's on a 10-fight win streak. He's very good. Ultimately, OMalley knows all the debate is pointless if he doesn't avenge his loss to Vera at UFC 299, so he's not counting his chickens before they hatch. But whether it's Dvalishvili waiting for him next, or Topuria, or someone else entirely, OMalley likes his chances of continuing his winning streak, even if others don't. There's Merab, there's Corey Sandhagen, there's Ilia. They all have potential for next, OMalley said. Again, I'm boom laser focused, concentrated on March 9th. Whatever happens after that, I'm very confident. Merab is very beatable. Henry almost knocked him out. Marlon Moraes almost knocked him out. Merab has crazy cardio, he has good wrestling, and he's a dangerous opponent. When I think of a scary opponent, the kind that makes me shake, that's Ilia. Ilia gives me that feeling of, he could turn your lights off and change your life. That's a scary opponent. Merab is a dangerous opponent. He just has this good physical conditioning, and he can eventually turn your lights off after you get tired, but he's not like a finisher. He didn't finish Henry. So we'll see. I like big fights. Merab, I'm not saying that wouldn't be good, but what it comes down to is, what do people really want to see? If they want to see Merab, that's what's next. But again, I hate even talking about it. I have Cejudo in front of me. What do you think of Sean O'Malley's stance regarding his choice of future opponents? Do you agree with O'Malley's assessment of Merab Dvalishvili's and Ilia Topuria's performances? What would be the most logical next step for O'Malley after his fight against Cejudo Vera at UFC 299? This is the MMA Submission Source channel. Like, comment, share, and subscribe to stay updated on the latest news in the world of fighting. On the screen, our latest news video and the playlist, The History of the Kings of Fights, are displayed. Click on it and watch. You'll enjoy it. Until next time, champ, and keep your guard up.